Imagine walking past someone every day without ever knowing they were wanted by the police. What if they weren't just guilty of a minor crime, but something far more serious? What if someone was living under an assumed identity right next door, hiding in plain sight, evading justice for decades, until one unexpected twist revealed the shocking truth? The truth, however, is far more chilling than we could ever imagine. In the world of crime, some stories are marked by shocking escape artistry. A person commits an audacious crime and then vanishes. But what if vanishing doesn't mean running to a faraway country or disappearing into the jungle? What if someone just slips away so effortlessly that they become one of us? This is the eerie truth of some of the most infamous criminal cases in U.S. history, where fugitives managed to live ordinary lives unnoticed until the truth was finally uncovered. What makes these cases even more unsettling is how many criminals are still out there, blending in and waiting for their next move. Let's begin with one of the most baffling cases, the story of John Anthony Quinn, a man who pulled off one of the daring heists in 1988. Quinn was working in an armored car depot in Florida when he stole $1.3 million. The crime was bold, well executed, and left law enforcement baffled. He vanished without a trace, and for over 30 years, he was presumed to be beyond the reach of the FBI. But the reality is far more unsettling. He was never far away, merely hiding in plain sight. His story serves as a chilling reminder of how sometimes the best way to escape is to blend in seamlessly. Quinn didn't run to some remote hideout in the woods, nor did he escape abroad. Instead, he lived out his life under a new identity, blending into society. For decades, he was known as James Sullivan in Dale Calvin Clucky, names that hid his true identity. He wasn't hiding in some abandoned cabin, he was living the life of an average man. He became a neighbor, a friend, and a coworker, and no one suspected a thing. His ordinary existence made it impossible for anyone to question his background. For nearly 40 years, law enforcement chased false leads, interviewed hundreds of people, and followed trail after trail, only to come up empty-handed. But Quinn was careful. He changed his name, his identity, and his surroundings so well that he was able to evade capture. It wasn't until 2026, long after Quinn's death, that investigators used modern fingerprint technology to uncover his true identity. The real man, who had been living under the radar for decades, was revealed, but only after he had passed away. What's even more unsettling is that Quinn wasn't living a life on the run, he was living an ordinary life, in plain sight. It took years for his escape to unravel, but in the end, technology exposed him, proving how the simplest moves could be the most effective for evading capture. What makes Quinn's story so chilling is that he wasn't a fugitive living on the edge of society. He wasn't hiding out in some remote location. He was living just like any of us, shopping, working, and interacting with people. He hid in plain sight, and no one ever connected the dots. It's a sobering reminder that the most dangerous criminals might be sitting right next to us, hiding in plain view. Let's look at another chilling case. In March 2026, Joseph Michaels was captured after over 30 years of living under an assumed identity. Michaels had been wanted for serious crimes in Florida dating back to 1989. But instead of fleeing to another country or hiding in the wilderness, Michaels blended into a small town in New York where he lived for decades. His life in that community was so ordinary that he was able to remain undetected for years, questioning just how easy it is for a fugitive to live under the radar. Under the name Joseph Michael Stern, Michaels was known as a quiet man who kept to himself. He wasn't a loud, flashy criminal. He lived a simple life, attending local events, making small talk with neighbors, and keeping a low profile. Michaels wasn't living off the grid. He wasn't on the run. He was simply living an ordinary life, and his neighbors knew him as a friendly, unassuming man. No one suspected a thing. His life seemed so normal that no one thought to question who he really was. The authorities had been searching for Michaels for years, but he was living just like any other person in a small town. It wasn't until modern DNA testing, combined with new investigatory tools, that his identity was uncovered. This wasn't a criminal who slipped up or made a mistake. Michaels was a master of invisibility, carefully blending into the community, building relationships, and living quietly. His story demonstrates how someone can live without drawing attention simply by following the rhythm of daily life.
The real horror of this case isn't just the crime he committed, it's how ordinary his life seemed. He didn't live in hiding, he simply chose to become ordinary. He didn't make reckless mistakes that would draw attention. He was a perfect example of someone who hid in plain sight and lived undetected for decades. It begs the question, how many people around us are leading hidden lives, blending in just like Michael's? Now, let's talk about Alejandro Rosales Castillo, whose captures stunned authorities in January 2026. Castillo was wanted for the 2016 murder of a coworker in Charlotte, North Carolina. His case had remained unsolved for nearly a decade, but instead of hiding in some faraway place, he crossed international borders to Mexico, where he lived under the radar for years. He didn't go to the jungle, he didn't live in some hidden compound. He blended into a new community, got a job, and started a new life, completely escaping the FBI's notice. Castillo thought that a change of country and name could erase his past, but he soon found out that the law never gives up. Castillo chose Pachuca, Mexico, a city where he could live quietly and work without raising suspicion. For years, he lived his life, interacting with people in the community, but the authorities never stopped looking for him. It wasn't until 2026, after years of intense cooperation between US and Mexican authorities, that Castillo was finally captured. Modern investigative work, combined with international collaboration, allowed them to track him down. Even though he thought he could escape justice, his past couldn't stay hidden forever. His story reveals how even international boundaries are no longer a barrier to justice in the modern world. These cases force us to rethink everything we know about crime and punishment. We tend to think of fugitives as people living on the run, hiding in dark corners of the world. But in reality, many criminals are right in front of us, living perfectly normal lives. The scariest part is that we don't even notice. It's a haunting thought. What if the person next to you at the coffee shop or your neighbor is hiding something darker? The next time you walk down the street, talk to a friend, or even stand in line at the bank, remember this: some of the most dangerous criminals might not be hiding in the shadows. They might be sitting in the seat next to you. If you found these stories unsettling and want to hear more true crime cases with shocking twists and unexpected discoveries, make sure to like and subscribe for more. There are many more hidden stories to uncover. The truth is often closer than you think. Stay tuned for more true crime stories that will keep you questioning what's hidden in plain sight.